Okay, seems like I'm live. So, hi everyone. Today we are continuing on our Soundbites recorder, and yesterday I had to end the stream a bit uh, in a middle way, so I couldn't really address the feature that we wanted to work on, which was separating out the user table and building a relation based on the bytes and the users. So that is something we are going to continue on today. Yesterday I was able to address, I was able to review offline on certain aspects of it. So I think like we can uh, continue working on it, I guess. So just taking a look at where we were at. So if I open up Airtable, okay, so this is our SoundSpite table, right? And what we had done is we had separated these two tables rather than having a common table where we had embedded the user under bytes. We have now two tables, one for bytes and one for user, right? And yesterday I realized that like if I go to the user table which was linking, or user field that was linking to the user table, if I go to the user here, I can go to customize field types, or actually not this, just a second, I think it's something else. Yeah, it's called add lookup fields, right? So I have this option here to add lookup fields. Say for example, if I want to add email and name, right? So I can do like add two fields, and you'll see like let me make this bigger. So we'll see like email and name. So I had already added name, so that's why it's showing name too. But let's remove this one. We already have name, right? So in case I now, here it says Bassam Ismail, let me go here and just make it Bassam. So the way the mapping has been set up, that it will automatically update it here, is what we would expect, right? So it's just mapping the fields over here, not copying the stuff, and I think that is what we want in this case. So that addresses one of the problem where we had to sort of query multiple tables to get the data, but I think like we don't need to worry about that anymore. Yeah, and then the other problem was like the session fetching data too many times, which was leading to too many queries to Airtable, which we didn't feel was the best thing possible to do. Okay, so now that we have added this binding, right? So let me just go back to this one more time. So on the listing page, we want to show the user's name and their image, right? So the way I want to update the binding is, I think we can keep the email as well. That might come in handy. So let me add one more lookup field, and that would be, yeah, one thing I'm not really sure about is that like even though I've added these lookup fields, it doesn't show them checked here. So maybe I'm doing it in a wrong way, or maybe it's just that Airtable is broken. That might be it. But all right. So let's add image and authorization as well, right? We don't really need created on as of now, so let's skip that. So add two fields. So you have authorization, which is empty, and then we have email, name and image, right? So all of them are showing up here. Now going back to the code base, so the way this was working is we have our fetch all query, which fetches all the data. It doesn't specify what fields we need, but then in our okay, if I go to fetch, right, under fetch we have this, like we were pulling in specific details or specific fields rather. So we were pulling in name, which was the name of the byte, URL, which was the S3 URL, and then we have created on, so that would be the date, and similarly we had user right now isn't really helpful because it was just giving us the user ID, but yeah, it's helpful when we are uploading things. And then we had a approve field, which I think would still be here, like somewhere here. Let's see. Yeah, the approved is the first field, so which tells us like whether the sound bite is approved or not, and then we filter based on like just showing the approved sounds. Now I want to also get the user fields, right? So let's see like what we were getting before, and then we'll do a after of this as well. So let me create one more field or one more tmx window to start the server. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any background noise, like it's raining very heavily here, so hopefully it's not too loud. But I think it should be fine. Let me take a look on Twitch. Hello. Hey, testing. Yeah, I think it's fine. So there isn't a lot of background noise, it seems, which is fine. Okay, so like I was saying, let's test out the values that we are getting. So immediately we are getting a invalid. Okay, the Airtable keys are wrong, so that's fine. So let's source in the variables, environment variables. Okay, let's try again. Although like the jot error, I'm not sure if it's directly related to any of this. Yeah, I'm still getting a JWT authentication failure, but that's fine. Like here we are doing a completely different thing. So I'm getting all these values, right? So if we inspect using the React developer tools, if I go to home, right, and the kind of data that we are getting is we have this user. No, this is not the user actually. So are there users added to the thing? So we have just first three users. So let me approve one of them. Let's approve this first one, Wood, and let's refresh again to pull in the newer data. Yeah. Okay. So now we will see that Wood has a user, but then the user is just an array of IDs, right? So this isn't really helpful. The user that we were pulling in earlier, right? Like this user just maps to an ID. This isn't useful. And now that we have added links to other records in the user table, we can pull it, right? Like we can pull image from user, but let's start with name from user, right? So I'll replace this user, or let's keep this user, but then also add one more. Let's add tsignore first, and we'll call it user name, right? And this would be name from user. So I'll match the case. I'll match it exactly as it is right here, the name. So with that change, let's refresh and see the developer, like the console here, to see if we get the correct data. Or it should say Bassam Ismail as per the field, or Bassam actually, because I had updated it. So if we go to data, the first one, yeah, you see I'm getting username, although it's giving me this as a array, which is weird. I'm not sure why, but I think we can figure that out by adding typecasting, but I'm still not sure like if that would help. But I think it's fine. It could be because there is a many to like one to many relation, from what I know. It shouldn't be two ways, but I don't think we have that. Okay, let's do this. Let me save this. So I've disabled multiple sort of linking. I'm not sure if it updates the other way around as well, so that might create problems. Hopefully it doesn't, but let's confirm. Yeah, here it is still linking to multiple records, right? So if I now pull this again, maybe it becomes from an array to a single value. That would be nice. So looking at data, approved. Yeah, it's still this. Do I need to restart the server for this? I don't think that makes any difference, but who knows? Let's see. Let me also. Okay, I think I have a chart window here. So it should be fine. Yeah, we are still. No, it's refreshing actually. So let's see. I go here. Yeah, the username is still an array, but okay, we'll deal with that and we'll see like if typecasting, that option of typecasting helps us or not. So if I go to fetch all, somewhere here I think like to this select I can pass that parameter. Let's see, type. Something came up. Let's try now. Type. Why does it immediately go away? Oh, this is try catch. Okay, let me come back to this. First, let's pull up all the fields that we need. So we need the username and user's name rather, and we need their image, right? So it's just called image, or no? On this table, it's called, I think, image from user. Yeah. So if we go to, it's called fetch. Yep. So if I copy this over and we'll call it user image, we could probably build a object, user object, but I think this is fine as well. So we are getting the user image. Now let's go to our go to the bytes listing where we are consuming all of this data, right? So we earlier had user, but that certainly isn't okay. We still have that data here because that's why it's printing, but now if I print username, right? Let's try it out. So it's printing. Yeah, the type definitions are incorrect, but I can just update them in a bit. So this is working, and then similarly, if I do, instead of a p tag, I'll do an image. Src would be byte dot user image, and as an alt, we'll just add byte dot username. Okay, so the image is broken. I think it's probably because it's an array, right? So let's try this out. Cannot read property of undefined. Okay, so are we getting the image? First of all, is something we need to check. So in our home component, the first user, okay, we are not getting the image here, so that's something we have to look into. So if I go to fetch all, or rather the fetch, it's called user image, so that is fine. Yeah, okay, it's showing up now. I think it might have been a cache thing or something. So going to the bytes component again, did we do a 0? Okay, we didn't need to do a 0. That's, I'm not really sure why or how that worked, but okay. So we want to add a username to this, and then also a user image, and this user isn't really a user anymore, it's just a string. So if I can get rid of this import completely, and I think it will continue working as it was. I still need to validate like what is, would it work if I do like a dot 0 or like index of 0? I think it should. No, it doesn't. Okay, so that means it's a good opportunity for us to just log the bytes and check what we are exactly getting. Right, so we can just log this here. We get 6 of them. So the first one that we want to check is this. Yeah, so as I was thinking, like username is an array, right? And same as user image as well. So if I do like bytes dot user image 0, that should ideally give me a string value, although it says like cannot read property of undefined. This is a type error. I think, let me say like username is a string array and then try it out. Why is it okay? User image, right? So do a string array here. So it's a bytes array. I think that should have been fine. Property user image doesn't. This is the byte that we have defined, and on the byte we are adding user image. So what if I do this? Cannot read property. So this works, and if I add tell it that this is an array, what does this tell me? It says that property user image doesn't exist on byte type. Okay, I think I need to restart the server. Maybe this is not throwing the right errors. Yeah, let's see. Let's restart it. Okay, so this is the same old thing. Let's see what. Okay, right now we are not getting any values. Okay, yeah, that's true as well. Like not everything would have a user image, right? So let's do it here in that case. It's telling me that there are 6 of these. Okay, how about we do it in a different way altogether? Let's print it out here just below the image. Let me do a json.stringify. It's called byte, and then null and 2. So yeah, here's what we are getting, right? So username is an array. So if I do like byte dot user, so this is what we get. And if I do a 0, I think like it will still throw errors because not every user has every byte has a 0 property. So we'll do like rather here, if byte dot user name, only then execute this. So down below here you see like Basam is showing up. So that is how it should be, and that is what I was thinking earlier as well. So I think like rather than doing it here, or we could do it here, but then like I think like it's best that we do it at the source itself, which is like at fetch. This is becoming a diversion though. Yeah, so let's do it. Let's refactor this later, but then for now this should be fine. So the way I want to do it is I want to get rid of all the sounds. So by default every user would have all these properties, right? So I don't need to do a check manually, right? So I can add all of this. Yeah, but then I'm feeling like this feels dirty to me. So what I'm thinking is I could probably just do this and make my life easier. So similarly here I'll do the same thing. So these two fields, but let's pull out everything else that we need. So image we have pulled out. Authorization, do we need authorization on fetch all? I don't think so. Email, I don't think. Yeah, let's work with this for now. So this should be fine. Okay, so now we can, below every byte we'll get a user's name and their image as well, right? So the only thing I want to do right now is, this image is too big, so let's make it smaller by adding a width and height here. So we'll do style would be height of d5, should be fine. Yep. And we could probably just have these in a single P, right? That should. Still don't have my COC working. So okay, why is this complaining? Okay, this is complaining because I had updated the data structure here, but this should fix it. Okay, so now we have all of this. So we are not querying multiple times now, so that is one of the problems from yesterday that we solved. The other problem is, and before I actually address it, or let's keep the bytes for now. So the problem was that when I sign in, I want to create the user at that time, and then from the user session or user's cookies, pull in the details of the user ID, right? Or was that user ID? Yes. Yeah, that's the signed in user's ID, right? So we don't need to go to Airtable multiple times, right? Like this can all come from once the user signs in, right? So that is something I looked up and then I found a solution for that. So let's quickly look into that. I want to go to the auth file. So earlier we are using like the session for doing majority of the work, but the problem with session is like it's called very often, because with session there are like it has to validate like whether the session is correct or not. So that happens very frequently. It can happen like if you go to a different page, if you close the tab, open it again, like there are a lot of scenarios as such. So that doesn't really work. The only thing that works as per our expectations, or like that would work as per our requirements, is sign in, right? So we'll use the sign in callback, right? So and there is some trickery around that, like which I found that works here. And besides this, we will also need a JWT callback as well, because we'll be using JWT to encode the user details, and one of those details is having a what do we say, like the user ID within the JWT. So I have some code that I had sort of earlier prepared for reference. So let me open that up here so that I can review it. So sign in takes a user object and an account and some metadata, but I think we don't need any of that. We just need user, so we'll just work with user. And what we will do is I'll just do like a pseudocode or like a incomplete implementation first to see like if things are working, and then we'll move forward. So this user here is passed down to I think JWT, and from JWT it's passed down to sessions, right? So to this user, in case I add something like say access token, or we don't need the access token, we just need the user ID, right? So let's say like my user ID is 007, right? So this is something I've updated the user or mutated the user object with, and then I can just return true, right? Because as such I don't want to do anything else right now. Like later on we'll update it, we'll do the sign in and all of that. So there might be in the case of failure we might return false. So yeah, and then the JWT part takes in a token, which is the token that we get. Say like in case you sign in with Google, you'll get the Google token or a GitHub token and so on. And the other object that we get is the user, right? So taking these two into account, if we have a user, like if the user is properly signed in, what we'll do is to the token we'll add a property, we'll call it user ID, and this will update the JWT token, and we'll just pull this from user ID, right? So earlier we updated the user by adding a property called user ID, and now we are updating the token with the same user ID but from the user object. And I think similarly here we return, instead of returning true, we return a token here, right? So this token is then further passed down, which seemed a bit weird that we don't do it here, but that is how this API works. And then finally in the session we don't need all of this, so I'll just comment it out for now because we will reuse this code in sign in later on. So we get the session here in let me quickly take a look. So in this session, yeah, so in this session we have a user, right? This user, the session has a user object, and then within that or directly in the session, like that is fine as well. I can add a user ID, and this user ID will come from this user object. So it gets passed down here and there, but then yeah, this is how it works, right? So this user object is pulled from this token, and then I return my session. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, okay. The final configuration that we have to do is we have to enable JWT. So I'll say like if I'm using sessions, then JWT should be true. And then also like there's a JWT configuration that I want to do as well, which is just adding a JWT encoding, and in case I want to sign it, a secret for that. So it can be anything like a eventually I'll just replace this with some environment variables, and that should be it. But yeah, let's see. Like let me come over here, and then on this side let me restart the server. So all we have done is if we review the code once, all we have done is we have just added this on the session. We want to add this user ID property whose value should be 007. That's pretty much it, right? So let me also, like before I do any of this, let me also clear my browser caches. So clear site data, so that like it can re-authenticate with GitHub and all of that. So now if I click on sign in, it will take me to this sign in page, and then from here to GitHub. This only happens once. Okay, this time it didn't for some reason, but okay, you see like it's pulled the user ID, right? And it's not showing me any of these sounds, which is a bit weird. Why it hasn't? Let's take a look at the logs. Are we not getting the data? I'm seeing a few errors. Lot of errors actually. Cannot read property 0 of undefined. So this is in fetch. Okay, yeah, this needs basically a short circuit of some kind, but then regardless, let's print out our session. We get the session in header as well, right? So in the header we have a session that is passed from the index, right? Like we do a use session and then get a session from there. I'm not sure if it stores it as a component state, so maybe it does. Session is here, right? So and then the state says that it has this user ID of 007. So as you can see, like it's storing the like passing the data from the sign in, so it doesn't sort of have to call the session, like session doesn't have to call Airtable, even though we haven't configured Airtable. One more thing that I want to validate is in case I clear my sites data, hopefully we don't have anything here now. No, nothing here. This is developer tool, so which is fine. And the cookies should also be empty. So let me close this tab and open it again. So I was hoping that like it would redirect me to GitHub once, which it didn't earlier. So yeah, again, like I'm not sure where it got this. Okay, no, this was just browser cache. Okay, so let's see if I have and this is why we want to use this loading state, right? So I wasn't using this loading state, and while it's resolving it might show stale data, so that is something we want to avoid. But moving on, so yeah, we are getting this. I'm not sure about the CSRF token, but callback URL is something we have configured, so it should be fine, I think. Yeah, let's see. Or maybe I'll just like clear caches and then restart the server as well. Yeah, it's not redirecting me to GitHub, but that's fine. Okay, so I think let's also add a condition to not show this, or let's just pass loading here. Right, so if I go to the header component, it will take a loading prop as well, right? And then if not session, then do this, else we can do a else if here, right? So I can do like else if loading, then just return something like this, right? I think this should be fine. So if I sign out, close this tab again, open it again, shows nothing. Then if I click sign in with GitHub, yeah, can't really tell. How about we close this, open a new tab, make the connection slower, and then that might help emulate that. So if I do localhost 3000 again, okay, it completely sort of, I'm not sure, like it didn't show loading at all, so I'm not sure what the issue is with that, but let's print out loading. Let's see what value we are getting from it. Yeah, it's false. I'm not sure if it's even momentarily true, but we can check through logs as well. Let's refresh. True for a second, then again true, and then false. Okay, so yeah, I think like it skips over it, like in case there are some ghosting issues, so it will prevent that. Okay, so now I think like we have this under control, like we are not calling session, like even though session is getting called, it will just check from the, let's just open it and like walk through this. So the session would just look into this bit, user ID, and return the session, right? So how are we validating this? So okay, yeah, we don't need to, like, the validation part next out takes care of automatically. All we need is just this, we are using this just to pass the user ID. Now the user ID is something we have hard coded here. The way to address this is to take all of this code, right, and just take all of this and let's maybe write a function here. So we'll write an async function. We'll call it fetch or create user. It's something like this, and we paste this all of this here. Uncomment this. So what we are doing is, like, we are first fetching all the users, and then we loop over all the records, and we see, like, if we find the user ID, in that case we sort of assign it to this thing. We break from this, and that is it. If there is no user ID, then we create a user based on the session details, get the user ID from it. So I think all we have to do is yeah, let me get rid of this try catch for now to make things a little bit easier to comprehend. And this will take in the session as a parameter, session, right? So and then all it does is it returns this user ID or variable. Yeah, I think that should be it. Now we are fetching the users. If we find the user, we just assign it to user ID and then return it. Otherwise, if we don't, we create the user, pull its ID and then assign it to user ID and then finally return it. So all I need to do is, instead of doing all of this, I just need to do await fetch or create user. Now we don't have a session here, right? We just have the user object. I am not too sure, so let's comment this out and let's just log console.log user and see what values do we have there. Like, does it have all the values that we need, name, email and image? If it does, then I think we can just pass this value, make some changes here in this bit, and that should be it. So I have updated this. Let's go to our server, restart it. I think I will have to log out and sign in again because I'm not really signed in, or I'm already signed in, so that won't really help. But let's see. Okay, it's throwing errors because we are fetching something that might not exist. So let me also address that. So that would be fetch. Okay, first let's look into this. Yeah, we want to look at the logs, right? So I'm getting a true here. I'm not sure where this is coming from, but this is certainly not the value that we are interested in. So let me sign out, and once we sign in, that calls the sign in callback, and from the sign in callback we'll get the data. Okay, yeah, I should turn this off as well. Yeah, it should be better. So if I sign in now, sign in with GitHub, and we should see something here. Yeah, okay, so we are getting this user object. It has name, email and image, exactly what we need, right? So we have this, where was that, auth file, where's console? Yeah, no, this one, right? So we are doing a console.log here. We can pass the user object here exactly the way it is, but then we need to update our object here, so we'll call it user, and then this would be user.email, and similarly we'll just get rid of session dot here with nothing. Yep, should be fine. So this will create a user in case it doesn't exist, and in case it does, it just fetches their user ID, and that's it. So because my user is already created, it should fetch the user ID. Now we are fetching the user ID, right? So we will store it in a variable here, so we'll call it const user ID, and then we'll just use it here, user ID, right? So that should be fine. Now this is updated. The further query is fine because like we are pulling user ID from the user object, so that remains the same. So hopefully this should work. Let's see. How do we? Yeah, the only thing we need to do is, although it's still showing me 007, let's restart this, and also like let's quickly fix the issue with the fetch so that those errors don't come up. We can say like in case can we do a or I don't think this would work because I'm already doing a access here, but let's see. Yeah, this will still throw errors. Okay. Yeah, it's still throwing errors because I'm accessing this property even though I'm doing like null check here, but then this should I think have a question mark here. How about now? Is this not valid TS? Expected a colon. Okay. If this or how about if we do like or still not valid. I don't remember, like I remember doing something similar, but I have completely forgotten what the syntax was. So how about we look that up. We'll check for TypeScript null coalescing. So this is not what we want. How about TypeScript? Optional chaining is something I think we want, but I'm not sure if that would work on like array access. Yeah, something like this. So what do we do in this case? Like in case code doesn't exist on 3, so we do is, yeah, this is something we don't want to. Yeah, we just add a question mark in front of it, but then what if 3 isn't there? That is something. Okay, yeah, I think this, I'm not sure about like whether this works on array, so let's do this. And then do 0 here. Similarly here. And then yeah, this should be fine. I think it shouldn't throw any more errors. Hopefully it shouldn't. Let's restart the server. I will check this out, like if this works on arrays or not, but I want to see like if what we tried is working as expected. And I think like it's fetching 007 still because it's fetching that from cookies rather than uh, sort of getting it again because we didn't sign out. Yeah, we're getting the sound, so that's good. Let me sign out. So this should get rid of the token and all, but in case it hasn't, let me take the additional measure and just clear everything out. Try signing in again. Sign in with GitHub. So yeah, we see the user ID here now, right? So this is the user ID we wanted. Now this should sort of fix our problem. Like, we are not fetching again and again, and even though I think, like, if I click on record, you see, like, it calls to session again just to validate like whether the session is there or not, and it sees like there's a user ID in there. So this is what we needed. It doesn't have to go to Airtable, but let's fix that as well. Like, let's validate our assumption. There's a console log true happening every often, so let me remove that. It's coming from loading. Okay, so what we wanted to validate is like if we are talking to Airtable too often, right? Like, because it should only happen at the time of sign in rather than again and again, right? So if I go to the sign in callback, right here, so if I do a console.log sign in, right, so this should make things a little bit more clear on like what is happening or how many times this is being called, or if it's being called. So it should be fetching data again. Let's see. Yeah, so far it's still fetching, but yeah, so far it didn't call it at all. Yep. And if I sign out, let's see, I'm signed out. If I click on sign in again, sign in with GitHub, so this time it should log this message here. You see, sign in with the incorrect spelling. But yeah, but besides this, like, if I click on recording and all of that, hello, hi. So if I upload as well, you see, like, this isn't called. And if I go to our sound bites, so the sign in is added to the table. It's linked to the user skip note as expected, right? And if I go to the user table, hopefully there should be one more byte here added. It's called sign in, right? Like the recently created at 10:53. So this is working as expected. And then in case I go ahead and approve this, so how do we approve this? Yeah, so if I approve this here, go back here, it's not okay. This was the previous page, I think. Yeah, so if I go back here and then refresh, I should see sign in showing up here, and let's play. Yep, it's working as expected. So I think, like, we have fixed the problem where the user is decoupled from the structure of bytes. Like, it's not directly a part of it, it's linked to it. Now the reason why we wanted to do it is so that we can have authorization, right? So imagine there's a user, right? So in case they are authorized, we want to pull in all the data for them, right? So let me authorize myself, and then go to the code. So we have done this in fetch, where we say, like, if the user, actually, yeah, it's here. And yeah, here's the tricky part actually, like, which I didn't consider earlier. but I think we can figure it out. Here you see like we are pulling in the data, right? So we are seeing like if the sound is approved, only then we are showing it. But what we want to do is like in case the user is authorized, then we pull in everything, right? So only if the user is not authorized, we show limited approved sounds. Otherwise we show like for a authenticated user, actually like not authorized, for an authenticated user we show all the sounds. So I want to pull in the session details here. I think this was possible. Let's see, next auth, what's the site, js.org. okay, so here documentation, yeah, where is the, okay, I think it's best to just to go to this page, and then yeah, we want to see like how we can access this session on the server side. So this use session I don't think would work here. So can we access it somehow using context or something? Yeah, this is still an API. Yeah, this is what we want, right? Like a API function, and in here we are just doing get session and from the request itself. Okay, so this is what we want exactly. I'll import it from next auth client, and then from here I'll pull in the function called get session. No autocomplete for some reason, I think. Okay, yeah, the typings are missing, so yeah, obviously it won't work. And then right in the function itself I'll do like a session variable identifier, which is basically like get session, calling to get session, which returns a promise. So we'll await it, and to this we pass the request. So earlier I had it as underscore request because we weren't using it, but now we are. So yeah, and the session, what it looks like, okay, we don't have type definitions for it, but yeah, let's do just a log of it. So let's log the session. So as an authenticated user in my session, it should log the values that are there in my session. So if I refresh now that I've restarted my server, okay, so it's going to auth, going to fetch. This is what we wanted. Okay, here it's saying null. This is not what we wanted actually. So let's see if we have the code right first of all. So we called get session, we passed it the request, so let's log the request as well. Session not signed in it. I'll move it here. Okay, I was actually already logging it, I think. Yeah, that's why it's showing null, right? But yeah, I don't want to log session only. We want to also log request as well. So starting this again, we'll see what we get in the request objects if we get the cookies and all, like, and I'm not sure like if I'm even logged in, so we'll have to check that part as well. So we get some cookie here, but yeah, it shows me that I'm logged in. Session is null, so that's a problem. It could be that like this might not work in case I'm using JWTs. So using get session method, and then there is also get token. Okay, yeah, I think this might be the one that we need because we are using JWT rather than normal sessions. This is the secret for the sort of parsing our tokens, and then we pass it the request and token. Okay, let's try this out. So Going here, let's use import. Instead of the client we need JWT, and then this would be similarly JWT as well, and instead of using get session we'll do like JWT get token. We pass it the request and then also the secret. Secret would be something that I'll fetch in a second, and then from here we'll get the token, right? This is our token. We don't need the request anymore. Yeah, and let's try it. So let me get the secret as well. So going to the auth file. So we set up the token somewhere at the bottom of this file. What just happened? Did I? Okay, I think I had pressed caps lock. So if I take this token, so if I go to the previous file and then use this token here, let's restart the server. Yeah, this bit has me worried, like it's signed in, like it doesn't say like I'm signed in, so I'm not sure if it will do the right thing. Okay, I get invalid Json property is undefined. Okay, did I do something wrong? So we did call get token, isn't that correct? So next auth / JWT. Okay, yeah, it's not something that has to be restructured. Trying again. Rest of it seems as per the documentation. Yeah, again getting a token null. Why is the token null? We also have a warning saying that next auto generated key, warning auto generated key. What is this error? This page doesn't exist. There's no saved version either. Okay, does it need something specific? If you're using JSON web tool, you can use the get token helper to access the content of your job without having to handle decrypt verification yourself. The method can be only used on server side, so that is fine. I think we were doing it on server side only. But then the token for us is empty. This is called, but where are we calling this? We are calling this within fetch, which is fine. This is just to validate like if the user is signed in or not. Yeah. If you use get token helper function in any of your application, as long as you set the next environment variable and the application to be able to read the get pass get token same value of secret as specified in this. Okay, we have done the same thing, so that is fine. We have JWT from this thing, secret. Where is the secret? Secret is the same. This is a function. We do a await of jar.token request. We pass it the request and also the secret, which is fine. Yeah, I think like it's just that like it's not able to get the token. Let's see now here. We have the session 2 enabled as well. By default the tokens are signed but not encrypted, which is okay, and there's okay, we don't want to enable this, so that's all right as well. We have this helper. Okay. Oh, okay. No, do we need this? You can use the built-in get token helper method to verify and decrypt the token like this. Okay, so it's the same thing from the previous screen. Yeah, exactly the same thing. For convenience, this helper function is also able to read and decode token in an HTTP bearer header. Okay, these two values are required. We are already passing them here. Yep. Secure cookies, cookie name. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not working as expected, but let me try this. Right, like let's sort of refresh the page. Let's log out and let's log in again, and then try maybe. Although like it's still logged in as using the JWT token earlier as well. So coming back here, so token null here right now, so that's already what we were seeing. Now I'm logged out. This is getting called from fetch. So every time I'm on the home page, it's just checking the token from the server side. Let's sign in again. Sign in with GitHub. It calls the sign in method. Immediately the token is null. So the problem is still there. And if I refresh again, yeah, the token stays null. So what have we missing? Let's take a look at their GitHub. I think maybe we might find something in there. Where is their GitHub? Okay, here it is. So we're getting null from it, right? So let's search for that. Go to issues, get when raw null but works when raw true. Okay, maybe let's see like if this works for us first of all. Say like raw should be true. What happens when you don't pass still the same, that is without or without null raw false. He's getting the same issue, that same warning that I'm getting. This is working fine with or without database in the example, specific example. Okay, so they are giving us this example or this code to review, so let's do that. I would start with the example project and go there if you would like additional details. Okay, custom encoding token as per okay, he is doing this. Is he doing this? Where does it say custom? Yeah, I'm using jot without database custom. Okay, he's doing this custom encoding, right? So I'm not doing that. As per our documentation, you must pass also an option to configure to jot token as helper. Okay. Okay, doesn't. Yeah, we are doing the same thing, so this clearly isn't working for us. But yeah, let's go here since we have. Did we do anything differently? Yeah, we just do raw. Yeah, token is undefined now rather than null. But yeah, it doesn't make much of a difference. Yeah, I think like raw undefined because we just do raw true. Let's take a look at the example in more detail. The only different thing is that like they're using a database, we are not. But still, so this is their JWT token that they are accessing. Request secret. This is a server side thing, right? Like that is why I'm wondering like whether it would have it at this moment. It should, because the user is requesting it, so they are sending their cookies over. But okay. Do we get any errors? Yeah, we are catching them, so we are not getting any errors as well. Okay. Although I haven't moved it. Okay. So this is fine. Let's go to API and their auth and this thing. So they have their options here, and they would have secret, session, jot enabled, and then under jot they have this disabled for some reason. Secret to use key generation, you should set this explicitly. Okay. They have debug false, callbacks they haven't overridden. It could be that because we are overriding the I'm not sure, might be because of that or something, but the way it is, like, it seems fine to me. The only thing that I'm not sure about is that they don't have secret enabled here for some reason, which I'm not sure why they don't do this, why they don't have a secret. They have a secret here. Okay, they are sharing the secret. Oh, okay. Sign in and then okay, all right. So why is there a secret here? Oh, this is a key generation secret. Okay, so I'm using a wrong token, that is for sure. So going to our auth, going to the JWT section, right here we get rid of the secret, right? And then where is our other secret? It should be this one. So we'll use this one. We'll go to the fetch file, and in this fetch file we'll just replace this token, right? It should at least throw an error. I would clear inside this, and then paste. Which register is it in? It's in 0 register, so let's paste from that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's start the server again. Refresh this. Hopefully this should this time pull in the right values. Okay, so this time it's saying that JWS verification failed. Why is that? Signature verification failed. So either the secret is not consistent or there is something else, right? So let's make this bigger and then open auth, right? So we are using this secret. Let me just paste it over here, save it as a value instead, and then just use it here, right? So the value looks the same. Now let's take a look at their file, what exactly did they have. They have the secret here, which is fine. JWT is empty, session is empty, or rather than that it just has this JWT. Yeah, that's it. So JWT is here, this is enabled, there's a secret key here. This all should have been fine. From what I can tell, this should be fine. Let's see. Let me go to this window, kill this, start the server again. Okay, let's see now. Okay, this is sad. but at the same time I'm signed out, so I'm not sure. Let's sign in. Last time we got signed out. Token still none, so the error went away, but the problem is still there. Very sad. Auth. So in here, give a secret, and then within our what is it? It's called okay. So here it's not able to fetch the token, right? Like that is the problem. It should be able to do it, but it's not. If I go back here to their API, and then under example they have this JWT, right? So this uses all of this secret, calls await on this thing, right? JWT.get token passes the request in secret. To me all of this looks fine, and then he just stringifies the token and prints it out or sends it back. So what is happening in this session? Let's try this as well. No harm in trying this out. Like this will sort of help us validate if we are getting some value somewhere. So this would be const session is, come on, await get session. This takes in just a request, and then we'll just log it next to the token. So that is fine. I'm starting the server again. Let's get rid of all the app cache. Refreshing the browser. Yeah, both of them are null, but yeah, that should be fine because the user is not signed in. Okay, apparently they are. Where does this come from? Let's clear this manually, right? We also have session storage which is empty, index.db is empty. Let's get rid of the cookies as well. Let's refresh. So if the user is not signed in, okay, the user session is something here. So the user is signed in, but then we still don't get any values, right? How would we? It's not able to parse the token, that's the problem, and I'm not sure why that is. We have a token here, right? If we copy this thing, this is what we want. Let's see, like if we can parse it manually, and then so the encoded string is this bit. You see, like it has user ID here, so we didn't need anything else, we just needed this part, and that should have been it. If we verify the signature, it's let's just copy this. Let's paste it here. Verified. Yeah, signature is verified as well. If we mutate it, why does it say like it's still verified? Okay, but yeah, the important thing is that we are not getting the user ID right now. So how do we go about that? We have followed exactly what we were supposed to follow. I am not sure. We did the get token similar to this. Was there something here we could have done? Like, let's look at more issues if there are any. Yeah. Yeah, this is just a pull request, I guess. Not helpful. This thing. Let's take a look at the auth once more, and then we'll just move on, and I'll review this offline. So we want to look at auth. We have providers, all of this. The secret is here. JWT is enabled, and yeah. Okay, let's take a quick look at callbacks. Right, so if I go to tutorials, I'm not sure where the is it here? No, should be under documentation, but then this page is, oh yeah, it's here. So callback we go to, and I want to see like how does the JWT callback work. Do I need to sort of send back something additional? Because yeah, JWT token callback is called whenever JWT token is created at sign in or updated. Okay, that is on these at this time. So this is not triggering that. Can we search for get token? No, there's no reference of that, but still like it resolves to the token. So if we go to auth, so in here we are just returning the token regardless. So we are doing that bit. Let me go over here, just go to this bit and then search for get token and try to understand how it works. Maybe spell it right as well. Okay, so what does it look for is something I want to see and then manually try to figure it out, right? So we have get token method here. It takes in arguments, and the arguments would be a request, secure cookie name, and raw. By default it looks for this this value, right? So next auth session token. So this is the cookie it's looking for, and if we go back here under cookies, this is the token. Yeah, this is the one we used right there. So I think like the first thing to do is in the fetch bit here we can just log out console, do like a console.log request request how are we using it? Request.cookies cookies, and then to this I pass in next dash auth dot session dash token. So this is the value that we want to pull out, right? And yeah, if this is there, I think like we can move sort of like we are at least sure that the cookie is being correctly passed. So restarting the server and testing it again. Currently the user is not logged in. Yeah, so this is, let me open that up again. If I go to fetch, yeah, this is coming up as false right now. Yeah, that's the problem. And what if there's a request from front end, and this is called like whenever we upload something, right? So we upload something, it will call this method from front end. Yeah, this time you see like it's doing it, right? Like it's doing the right thing. So now I'm thinking that because front end is not calling this, right? Or actually front end is calling it, because like when I refresh the page, it sends a request to it goes over here, right? So it goes over, let's take a look actually. So it goes over to the index page, and here we have context. I'm not sure like what we have in context. Okay, but we have a session here, right? Can we do a get JWT? Okay, let's print out the session first, or context first. Maybe we can sort of grab it from here and then pass it forward to fetch right here, but okay, yeah, this is just a request. Okay, we can't really do that, but still, let's see. So if I refresh this page again, yeah, I think this is the context. This has a request in it, right? This would be the request, and there is a yeah, this is the token right here. So what if I okay, let's make this bigger and let's open the fetch here. Okay, so right here we were doing a JSON parsing bit. So if I go over here, import this JWT thingy, and then take this part, or rather not even that, just this token from here and use it down here, right? So let's do it here. We'll pass it, request would be context.request. But yeah, what would I do with it? Because this should be available to the fetch actually. So I can't really call it, but okay, for now let's go ahead with this and see like if we get a token back. Let me, on this right side, let me just remove this console log, and in fact like close this file altogether. Restarting the server. So the on the initial load, it should also log the token, considering it has the cookies. Okay, immediately. Okay, yeah, secret is missing here, so that is fine. Let's pull it from fetch. Write this one and then define it on. Yeah, this is fine. Like if we put it here, go to this tab, refresh this page again. It's complaining that the cannot read property next out of undefined. Okay, so this could be like earlier we saw the cookie, so I'm not too sure. So let's do console.log context.request.cookies, and then what is it called, next auth dot session dash token. This should be it, and we will comment this for now. All right, so we go up here to 2. Refresh this again. Let's see if the cookie is present or not. Because the user is logged in, the request is coming as a logged in user. Okay, so it says that it can't even access cookies, so maybe either I'm accessing the wrong object or there is some other issue. So let's just for now once again log the context only. Okay, so this is our context, right? That is being logged, and under this we have a lot of data, and then we have like a request, right? So the request is there, and under request we have a readable stream, right? So this okay, I think like it's under raw headers, or is there object that is, yeah, I think it's under raw headers. Okay, let's see, like I think like next would have a proper mechanism for Next.js context cookies. I think like there's a package called next cookies or something like that, unless they have added something to this. So what does this package do? Does it have anything to do with next? Yeah, so it's called cookies. It parses the cookies and yeah, that is it. This would be our cookie. So let's use this. It runs on the server side, so I think it should be fine. Okay, yeah, this has been a pretty big tangent from what we wanted to do, but yeah, let's see like if we can sort of figure out something, or at least like figure out a compromise on how we want to pull the data. Let's see. So this is installed. If I go to our index file, so we have it open here, right? So we have context. Yeah, so let me import it. Let's call it from cookies. We want to pull in parse cookies, then going to the bottom, let's just console log parse cookies, and if we pass context, like what do we get? Like based on that, like if we get the correct values, then we can move ahead. I want to open Vim here. I want to do a run div All right, refresh the page. Yeah, it gets us the correct value, right? Like these are cookies, although like we are actually running into a different problem. The the JWT client get token requires a request object rather than a cookie object, right? So uh, context cookies, how do we, is there a method that we call on the request, or do we do something with that? Let's see. Cookies, no mention of cookies. Let's go to get server side props. We have like this request. Can we do something with this? So the context has all of these things. It doesn't say much. So yeah, this is just a Node.js HTTP incoming message. Is there a method on it though? Uh, mm, okay, I'm just looking like if there's a way to convert this into a request, because like currently it's not consumable. Um, although it says the same thing here as well, that it has the same type. So how is it any different than what we were doing? Okay, let's maybe take a look. So to get session, or rather this thing, can we access context.request? I think that is something we didn't check. Refresh. Yeah, we can access it, I think. Pretty big object right here. Yeah, it says an incoming message, right? So that is the type of this. It's a stream. All of this is a stream, right? So that, okay, no, but then there is a cookie object in here as well. Okay, let's see. So if this is fine, then why doesn't this work? So we are passing it context.request, the same thing here as well. That's the request. Let's see, get token. Oh no, that's this part. Get, what just happened? Get using get token, right? This is what we want. Yeah, it requires a request. Does it have a signature? Like, does it tell us what it needs? Okay, it doesn't. This is why we want. Let's see. Yeah, we are getting, it can't access something from somewhere which starts from render. This is next. Yeah, it's not able to access cookies, right? Like that's why. So what if I do? Okay, we had pulled it up here somewhere. Yeah, so request dot cookies is something we want. So let's comment this bit out. And yeah, let's try that. Okay, going here, refresh. Okay, we get undefined, so that's the problem, right? Now coming back over here, let's do, so parsing the logs is a bit difficult through the console, so let me save this as right. And then shrinkify, and we'll pass it this file null and 4 or 2 is fine as well. Restart this, and yeah, then create a file. So converting circular, oh okay, oh yeah, this is the incoming object, so it couldn't convert it into a file. Okay, so let's log it in. I just want to see like where this cookie object is coming from that we saw earlier, and that's pretty much it. So we have this one big object, right? And if we look at it, let me clear my screen first and then try it out. Okay, we have a client under this, which is again a reference, and then we have raw headers, we have headers. I think headers is something we can access. We have socket here. So is headers within sockets or is it outside it? I think it's outside, and then we have cookies under that. Alright, but the problem is that we can't change the way it accesses it, right? Like the JWT part, we can't change its way of access, because cookies I don't think is directly nested anywhere. It's nested in here. Yeah, no cookies. inside. Is a readable stream that ends here. We have socket again. Yeah, then we have the complete headers, raw headers, client, again a socket. Yeah. So the way the get token works is that it can't really help us in this case, because it wants to grab it from the request. If not token, request header authorization. Okay, this is not in our control. I don't think we are adding this to the headers unless I validate this. So headers, yeah, there's no bearer or authorization here, so that's how it is. But then we did have a session in there. Okay, yeah, right now this is not looking like what we need either. And what do we have in context here or in session here? So far we have just this mapping working between these two. The next thing I wanted to do was to show either like for the approved users or authorized users, show all the sounds, and then for the users that aren't authorized, just show the approved ones. And then the next step from there would have been to like build a sort of a, a a protected page where authorized user could approve sounds. So I think like let's stop here. So what do we have? Let me update the readme first. So what we did today was split user and byte, right? So that is something we have already done in this stream today. And then the next thing we want to do is show all sounds for authorized users and only approved for unauthorized. And the next one would be protected page for authorized users to approve sounds. So this is something I think like we are currently stuck on the bit where we want to sort of access the token and we are not able to. So I'll be spending some more time on it, but then till then let's commit all of what we have so far. So let's do a git if. This is fine, this is also fine. We added this cookies package, so I think we can uninstall it. Like we don't really need it, so we'll do an uninstall. And then maybe I'll just get rid of all the code that I have that didn't work. So let's remove that as well, and then we can commit it. So if we look here, this is fine. All of this is fine as well. This is the fetch. So in here we don't need get session, we don't need to do this, we don't even need all of this. This is fine. So we need to update the fetch, and we need to get rid of this no keys. We don't need the secret here, so we'll get rid of it. This is yeah, let me do that. So let's go to the index first, get rid of Where is the nookies thing? Yeah, here. We don't need the JWT as well. We don't need the secret either. And going to the bottom, we can get rid of this bit, not the try, and then this console log as well. We don't need this as well, so let's remove it and make it a const. We don't need to log the session either. If we quickly look at the diff, I think we had something else in a different file. Yeah, this is the to get diff again, get diff stashed files. So this is fine. Yeah, to fetch file we want to update, and what else? Yeah, just the fetch file. So going to the fetch file, you want to get rid of the secret. We don't want this. The JWT is not working, so we'll get rid of this. We don't want to log this message. We don't need the sessions either. So this looks better. Now to quickly check if it's working as expected, and then we can commit. So refreshing the page now. Okay, we are getting some invalid Json errors. I'm not sure why. Okay, yeah. Environment variables won't host either because I changed the tabs, but let's see now. Are we getting the same thing again? Okay, so this time it didn't throw any errors. The application is working fine, so we'll say like add all of this and we'll commit it as, or we had already written a commit. Let me just rephrase it. We'll call it create or other split user and bytes into different tables. Should be fine. Let's push this. So going over here, now if we go to our bytes application, yeah, it will actually take a while to deploy, so I think I'll let it deploy and then let's just check if we have the updated code here. Yeah, it does. So on my end, I'll just take a look at these two things and figure out like why we aren't getting the token using the get token method. So I'll figure that out, and maybe I'll do another stream this evening where we'll sort of take a look at these two items. I'm not too sure, so not committing to that, but yeah, like hopefully we can try that out. And yeah, I will meet you soon enough